All right. My name is Nantchev, and this channel is all about helping you become a remarkable entrepreneur. Now, you see, as of lately, there's been a very interesting industry that's been arising from the ashes, from nowhere, from the woodworks. It's to do with cryptocurrency, to do with technology, computers, all the crazy jargon, and whatever the heck else is happening in the world. So I got an interesting character with me today that was recommended from a previous guest. I got with me Tim Cliff from Twin Cities, Minneapolis. Minneapolis, is that how you say it, Tim?
Yes.
Never been there, but I heard it's quite good weather there. So, Tim, please tell the world, who are you? What are you doing? And what makes you remarkable? Because you mentioned earlier, so I'm very curious about one thing, Steem witness, segregated witness, lightning network. What does that even mean? How are you remarkable? Or what does that even mean? I'm very curious.
Sure. So I'm actually probably an interesting guest in that I consider myself fairly normal. And I'll get into it in a little bit here, but that's kind of why I think the Steem platform is quite unique. I found out about it through my brother, who's interested in cryptocurrencies. And about 2 years ago, he shared a post on his Facebook wall about how there's this new social media website, Steem It, and everybody should check it out. So I'm good friends with my brother. I trusted advice. So when he recommended that I check something out, I figured it was worth looking into. And when I read about the project, I just found it very fascinating in that basically it's a blockchain-based social media website with a cryptocurrency. And the whole platform is designed to reward the users for the valuable contributions that they make. So anyone can join the platform and sign up for an account and basically start interacting with other people on the platform. And the system has a method of voting built in where the users who are using the platform are upvoting the material that they find most interesting or that they like. And then the system is tabulating all those votes and basically determining which users are adding the most value to the platform, and it rewards them in cryptocurrency. So I thought this was a really fascinating idea. I've always been interested in projects where there's a potential to monetize value. And so I initially got involved with the project purely from an investment standpoint. I bought a small amount of the Steem cryptocurrency tokens because I thought it was a good project. And I figured that with potential, those tokens might go up in value. And after I had the tokens, I started researching more about the project and how to use it. I signed up for an account. I started blogging, and one thing led to another, and I got really pulled into this platform. One of the things that I did that I found made me relatively successful was I always sought out what I had the ability to do to add value and focus on that. So everybody kind of has their unique talents and strengths, and what was interesting about the Steem project is it was kind of new. And so there's a lot of areas where people with talent and motivation can join the project and use their talents to make the project better. And with the reward mechanism that's built in, if the users on the platform appreciate what you do and they upvote your content, you can start to earn money. So that's basically, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's basically, please.
Oh, so that's basically how I got started on the platform. If you want, I can jump into how I transitioned into being a witness and what that is, or if you had any questions about what I've said so far.
Not just yet. Yeah, well, the witness thing is interesting because that goes into SegWit, and I've got no idea how that works. But yeah, well, in a few moments, just few thoughts. I think when a lot of people first hear about platforms like Steemit, a lot of them quite understandably assume it's like a Ponzi scheme or a scam of sorts. One thing that just totally bewilders or diffuses that argument is it doesn't cost anything to get involved in. Sign up and start creating an account, start creating content or creating, and it's like it's all based on meritocracy. So if you put something out there that people want and consume and desire, then you're going to get rewarded for it. And the thing I don't quite understand though is whereabouts does the liquidity come from for the cryptocurrency itself? Because I imagine you've got like an internal exchange, and the Steem dollar is somehow pegged to the dollar, but what's to say it's $1.50 or 50 cents? That's what I've never understood about it. And where does the initial liquidity come from in the first place to actually justify that price tag?
So the Steem dollar gets into kind of a confusing area of the platform. We maybe want to brush over that, but just as far as your more general question of liquidity, the Steem token is listed on several major exchanges, including Bittrex, Binance, and a few others. And so anyone who's looking to buy or sell tokens can go to those token exchanges and buy and sell the tokens. And as the project has grown, a lot more investors have become interested in it. And so there's been a fairly high demand of people buying new tokens, basically hoping that, if they buy them at $2, that they can sell them at $4. If they buy them at $3, they can sell them at $6. And in the cryptocurrency world, those 100% and actually even 1,000% gains aren't that unreasonable. So there's a pretty big market of people looking to buy the tokens. And then, of course, there's always people looking to exit as well. Some people might have earned $100 of tokens on their blog, and so they might be selling them. Then some investor might be the one picking those up.
I always imagine that the value of the actual current of the token comes more from the eyeballs, because the more of them you have, the higher the organic reach of your content can achieve on the platform, and the more people that see it, the more eyeballs, the more subscribers, the more Patreons, the more followers you get, and that has other ways of monetizing, online presence or following. That's the way I always viewed it as well. And,
yes, exactly.
And I'm just very curious about one other thing, because you mentioned value in the activities and monetizing value. Another guest talked about a smart media token.
Yep.
Because one idea I had, because this is fascinating when it comes to monetizing value, take the exact same technology and combine it with, say, video games or films, or certainly video games. That's the kind of industry I used to be in. And you could easily create freemium games, like these little games you play on once a day or something like that. Like, I can't remember some names. I can picture them where you do a little activity every day, and you can actually monetize that.
Yes.
Monetize that using the exact same cryptocurrency technology. And recently I was in Germany, and on the last day there, like 2 hours or so to spare before the coach and all the rest and heading back to the airport, I was thinking this would be a perfect time just to slap out that game and to build or do something within the game universe and start to earn cryptocurrency and monetize my playtime.
Yeah, and what's interesting, so the smart media tokens are actually a protocol change that's in the works. So they don't exist yet, but the development team is putting a lot of effort into making them. And basically what the smart media tokens are going to be is anyone who wants to launch their own token on the Steem blockchain will be able to do so. Kind of like how on Ethereum, there's a lot of ICOs with people launching tokens. But as far as your game idea, technically anything that you'd be able to do with the smart media token, a lot of that stuff can already be done on the Steem platform today using the Steem token. Really what the smart media token gives you the ability to do is kind of form your own niche economy within the larger economy of the blockchain. But there's a lot of stuff that you could do with the smart media token that you could still do today with Steem and kind of get the project started. And then once the smart media token projects are ready to launch, which is probably going to be sometime later this year, then you could do basically a token launch with your new token and integrate that into the game somehow.
Yeah, I've no idea how to get started. Well, find some programmers and such and designers, but it's just an idea I had, and it's like, yeah,
Sure.
that's worthwhile doing. Nonetheless, it's worthwhile doing. But other priorities first. And you mentioned the launch as well, the smart media token. I heard as a rule of thumb that the cryptocurrency technology or infrastructure or industry is roughly 18 years behind. So where the internet was in 2000 is equivalent timeline kind of scale where cryptocurrency is in terms of adoption or infrastructure or complexity, things like that.
Sure.
What do you think?
That seems reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another thing I'm just curious about, you mentioned Ethereum there. Would you say that the ICOs, would you say that Steem smart media token is to steam it what ERC20 protocol is to Ethereum.
Yes, that's a perfect analogy.
I see. That's cool. Yeah. So I'm curious then, the witness thing.
Yep.
What is that, please? What is that, please? Elaborate on that, because I've heard a lot about segregated witness, and I understand that the blockchain, the process, and how how the code is executed, and the witness is like, here's the blockchain computing certain actions, certain operations, but the witness does like the majority of other things.
Yeah,
So
so
the
what's
burden.
interesting is segregated witness uses the same term, but it's a completely different concept. And I'm not an expert on that, so I'm probably not going to be able to get into that too much, but I can explain what it means in the context of what I do,
That's right.
which is for blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they use a protocol called proof of work.
Mm.
And what that means is there's these people out there or groups called miners. And what they're doing is they're running lots and lots of computers that are basically doing number crunching. And all of those computers are trying to produce blocks for the Bitcoin or Ethereum blockchain. And the way that the proof of work protocol works is anyone on the internet has the ability to create a block. Technically, if you ran a computer in your basement, you would have at least the theoretical option to do so. Although the way the network works is everyone is competing to try to be able to produce the next block. Because whoever produces the block gets a reward from the blockchain, and it's a decent amount of money. I don't know exactly what the block producer rewards are in Bitcoin and Ethereum, but it can pay for those giant warehouses of computers that you've seen. So it's definitely a profitable business. But essentially with proof of work, the blockchain is coming up with a math problem for everybody to solve. So it puts the math problem out there, and all the people with the computers start doing their number crunching, and whoever solves the math problem first gets to produce the block, and then they get the block reward. That's been an amazing technology, and it's allowed these platforms like Bitcoin and Ethereum to grow and flourish, although there are some limitations with it. One of them is that it takes a ridiculous amount of computing power just to be able to produce the block. And the computing power isn't actually going into the block production, it's going into solving the proof of work math problem. So the Steem token, as well as BitShares and EOS and a few others, are using a new protocol called delegated proof of stake. And basically what that is instead of someone having to solve a math problem in order to produce a block, the blockchain is actually going to choose who produces the next block. And the way that it chooses that is based on a voting protocol called delegated proof of stake, where everyone who has Steem tokens has the option to vote for who they want to be producing the blocks. And those block producers in the Steem blockchain are called witnesses. So I myself am one of those witnesses. And what I do is, at least from the protocol perspective, I have servers that are running that are basically running 24 hours a day. And whenever the blockchain assigns me a block to produce, I have less than 3 seconds to produce that block. And so the interesting thing is, because of the fact that it's known who's going to produce the block, it's extremely more efficient than Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm sure most people who've used cryptocurrencies have noticed, if you send Bitcoin from one wallet to another, it might take 45 minutes for the transaction to get confirmed, and then you have to wait probably for 3 or 4 more confirmations. And so it could be 3 or 4 hours before you actually get to use your Bitcoin. On the Steem blockchain, because it's so much more efficient, blocks are produced every 3 seconds, and the confirmation time is within that 3-second window. So I can send you a Steem token, and 3 seconds later, that transaction is going to show up because of the fact that every 3 seconds, one of the witnesses is producing a new block.
Fascinating. I get it now. I understand. And so does that mean then, because you're essentially allowing the network to survive, does that mean that you've got a computer turned on 24/7?
Yep, I actually have about 5 or 6 different computers and data centers around the world for redundancy, and lots of monitoring set up. So if one of them goes down, I get woken up in the middle of the night with my cell phone, and I have automated stuff that switches back and forth between them. Because basically, if my computers start missing blocks, if the blockchain says, Tim Cliff, it's your turn to produce a block, and I can't do it within 3 seconds, then that slows down the whole network. everyone is going to have to wait 6 seconds for the next witness to pick it up. And so witnesses who miss blocks are considered not doing their jobs, and that's an easy way to lose votes. So it's very important for me and for the network for me to have very high availability with my servers with lots of different protocols in place to make sure that I'm not missing blocks.
But then, these votes, wouldn't most people that have the token not really care who manages the next block?
Yeah, it's probably in the 15 to 20% range. I'm ballpark guessing as far as if you look at the witnesses who have the most votes and are in the top list, they generally have votes from about 15 to 20% of the stake.
Yeah, thought so. We usual that 80-20. So I'm curious then, Tim, why did you become a witness? What was that all about? Why? I'm curious.
Why did I do this?
Yeah, I'm curious.
So there's a few reasons. One of them is obviously financial. It does pay quite well, and interestingly, I've had a career as a software developer and project manager for about 10 years for a company here in the Twin Cities. And now that I've been doing my witness for about 2 years now, I've actually gotten to the point where I've started making more money from that than my quote-unquote real job. Mm-hmm. So I am transitioning to basically be doing this as a full-time project. It's not really going to change the amount of blocks that I produce, but it's going to free up a lot more of my time to be working on various side projects to help the Steem platform and community get bigger.
Yeah, I recently heard about a few others out there. There's Library, and there's D2 Live, and Minds. There's a few other places out there, a bit of competition going off with Steem. My quarrel with it is that it was always very one-sided for the producer and not so much for like the consumer, the audience. It was more like it was ideal for creating content, putting it out there, but the UI or the way it was set up, the layout, it's like it's not really ideal just to go on there and just search things. It's just like a treadmill of information. Whatever is the latest up-to-date stuff, that's what you're going to see. And there doesn't seem to be much of like a evergreen kind of like search culture or desire. It's just whatever's there at the time.
Yeah, so a couple things there. Interestingly, you mentioned DTube. DTube is actually a website that's run on the Steem blockchain. Mm-hmm. So anyone who's using DTube, they actually are using Steem. But as far as the UI perspective, the whole Steem project, as well as a lot of the websites and platforms that are built on top of it, is still relatively young. It's only been around for about 2 years now. And what's been interesting is, the project itself has actually grown up around us. When they first launched it, it was really what they were calling like a minimal viable product, which is they launched it with the smallest amount of features that were needed to basically get it up and running. But a lot of other stuff they've kind of been building as the users have been using the platform. And so, for example, when I first joined the platform, there wasn't really a concept of following somebody or having information show up in your feeds or re-steaming, which is kind of like a way of sharing stuff with your followers. So the only way people discovered content was literally by going and searching for it and digging. And so as the platform has evolved, they've added this follower and feed feature where you can follow somebody and then any of the new content that they post shows up in your feed, and you can re-steam stuff so that other people's content shows up in your feed. It's kind of like a share. And so they've added this, and this, everyone's so used to it now, but for the people that have been around since the beginning, or at least earlier stages of the project, it's kind of been fun to watch this stuff grow up around us. And one of the next big things that they're going to be doing is something called communities, which is going to be a pretty major change as far as just the user experience of the platform. So I would probably relate them close to either Facebook groups or Reddit subreddits, where someone will basically be able to form a community. Anyone who wants to will be able to launch one. Other members can join, and then they can all share their content within the community. And then the community will have some features built in with the option of moderating. So if people are posting stuff that the community doesn't really like, the moderators can, take it out. And it'll also have some options for revenue sharing, so that basically if users are posting stuff that's adding value to the community and bringing in lots of readers and voters, then the community itself will actually be getting a portion of the rewards to use for community type projects. And I think that's going to open up a lot of avenues for entrepreneurs who basically want to jump into the platform and basically form a community around some idea. There's actually going to be a way now for them to monetize that by basically, you know, if you can organize a community of like-minded people that produce content that others find interesting, and that content starts building rewards, then there's a revenue stream there for the people that are running the community to grow that community into something bigger.
Yeah, that would be good. Community is very important. I think that's a good feature. I was thinking one thing I like about Facebook is like sort of the groups where people with common interests can find content specifically for that very, very easily and very quickly. And especially if it's moderated, that's even better, even more helpful. So I look forward to that. It's interesting. But Tim, I'm curious then, as we slowly end and wrap up the podcast, what are you working on now? What's next for you? Anything you want to share?
Generally, most of my projects are top secret till they're ready because I don't like to get people's hopes up. But probably the biggest thing that I'm currently publicly involved in right now is just as a moderator of the support group. So the blockchain is decentralized, meaning there's no centralized entity. And as a lot of people are using it, they have questions and, you know, they get stuck and need help. And so I'm the moderator of a help channel in our chat group called Steem.chat. And so any of the users who log into the help channel in Steem.chat and ask questions, I'm one of the main people that works there and helps them get through their issues.
Yeah, I can't help but think that the price of decentralization is having all these computers on 24/7 and just being vigilant that the blocks are updating and everything's working fine and smoothly, as opposed to a centralized point, which, you know, you do that and you're delegating power and responsibility, but that's a different question. But yeah, that's what I always imagine, the price of decentralization, vigilance.
Yep.
Do you think? Yeah. Well, awesome. So what is the best way for the audience to get in touch with you?
Let's see. So if you go to steemit.com @TimCliff, that's my user profile. People can see the blog posts that I'm doing there and comment, reach out to me there. I'm also on Steem.chat, which is kind of the main way that the people in the community have live chats with each other. So again, my handle on there is just Tim Cliff. And then a few people in the community like to use Discord, which is another chat-based group. I'm also on that as well, same handle @TimCliff.
Awesome. I'll include those in the show notes below. But Tim, thanks a lot for coming on the show. Yeah, awesome. Fun. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen at home, remember that this world out there has amazing things going off. There's opportunity everywhere. I found some opportunity in China, but that's going to be a whole adventure in of itself. But opportunity everywhere. So go out there today and do something remarkable, because that is what life is all about. How cool is that?